Hi everyone, this is Anson Bailey from KPMG, Head of Consumer and Retail for Asia Pacific, and I'm delighted to be joined by Isabelle Pilon, who is the Group COO and co-founder of Pivot 88, based here in Hong Kong. Hi Isabelle, how are you today?
Hi, Ensign. I'm great. And you?
Good, great to see you here. And perhaps if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about the background of Pivot 88? And perhaps you can tell us a little bit about how are you driving your company here today in Hong Kong?
Absolutely. Pivot 88 was basically founded in order to meet the different challenges of global businesses. Having their supply chain, their partner overseas, so having difficulty to get visibility in their sourcing activities, quality, and so on, and the real time access to the real time information. We're really there to drive efficiency and transparency in the process and make sure that a business can do that confidently.
Now, Isabelle, we heard some really interesting things about the digital supply chains, and that word keeps coming up, digital and data. What is Pivot 88 doing? Because I know that you are driving this new thinking around a more digitized supply chain.
Absolutely. Pivot 88 operates around the quality and compliance data. So, making sure that this is captured and this monitoring of these activities are being digitalized, but also that the results are generating analytics and relevant analytics so people can make faster and more accurate decisions. So, that's really what we're towards.
Now, we hear a lot about manufacturers and retailers over here in China. And of course, we understand about trust, and trust is a very, very important component. Takes a long time to build up that trust. And we know it can be easily broken nowadays. So, can you perhaps share a little bit about what Pivot 88 is doing to address that? Because, again, one of the things that we're hearing a lot about is track and traceability, and that is a growing focus for a lot of those manufacturers and retailers.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely, like this level of trust and transparency is really key to all our customers and all the different players, and especially within these days, because obviously with the current situation, like things are being different. You have to trust because you can no longer, there's travel restrictions, you can no longer be in person in the factory. To that extent, you have to rely on the digital monitoring. You have to rely on these data results that are being captured. What we see and what I can say, and that I'm consistently witnessed through the use of our solution, is really that this level of transparency that is brought when the different partners of the supply chain collaborate together, it does really bring accountability also. Because when you can no longer hide, for sure you become more proactive, right? Definitely that's what we can see.
Now, something else that I hear a lot about, of course, is there's so much data, 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 data. But that also, I think, raises a very important question. As we see more and more data across the digital supply chain, how can we perhaps protect that data? Because I do hear a lot of concerns being raised about data governance and data privacy. So what's Pivot 88 doing about these issues?
uh, these issues, data privacy, data security, is definitely at the core of our processes and operation, I would say. Pivot 88 were SOC 2 Type 2 certified, and also ISO 27001. We work with KPMG also
Mm-hmm.
for that process. So definitely making sure that all our people are trained, making sure that all our policies are there and everybody is aware, making sure that the governance is in place and the relevant gates and controls are in place to monitor that information, because we do handle a lot of different types of information that is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, Isabelle, something that I hear time and time again is the changing consumer behaviors. We already see those consumers are far more digitally minded, they're a lot more tech savvy, and they're very focused now on looking at those supply chains. In fact, they're really watching all of those brands very closely and tracking them and looking at things like ethical sourcing. I just wanted to kind of get a view from Pivot 88. You know, how are you working with those brands and those retailers to ensure that there is that transparency across the supply chains?
Yes, so we work with our customers really from the start, because this level of traceability and transparency take roots really early in the supply chain. So starting often from tier 2 suppliers, obviously tier 1 and so on, so to provide their visibility. And I would say that there are definitely some innovative brands and even new brands that are built toward that model to really offer that to the customer. But that's also a challenge for companies that have been established for some time and have been operating in a more traditional model to take that shift and to transform themselves. To take that route towards that, to ultimately be able to offer that to their customers. So we are working with them, so we can accompany them throughout their journey, so they can take all the necessary steps, gain their internal trust into their network and so on, and ultimately bring that to their end consumers.
Mm-hmm. Now, another question that I kind of wanted to challenge you on. We're hearing a lot about technology and innovation, and of course, how technology is going to solve all of our issues. I just wanted to get your view from Pivot 88 in terms of, are you starting to see that technology that is starting to change the supply chain? I hear, of course, a lot about AI and blockchain and machine learning, but is that really helping you and your clients on this supply chain transformation journey?
Yes, absolutely. So we are like digitizing the processes, therefore capturing a humongous quantity of data. So definitely that's beyond like a person to process even inside a company. And when we're talking about the whole network, that's definitely a lot. So we do use AI and different algorithms and technology in order to support that and to bring the speed of the data, to bring the analytics, the insights, and so on, and to mitigate the risk that come of that, because this information needs to be captured so rapidly. So and we do that in a really result oriented way. So AI is a big word for sure, but we want to make sure that they are really concrete applications. So we have 4 virtual agents that we name Dolly, Molly, Polly, and Jolly. And these virtual agents are really there to assist the different companies at the different levels. So whether management to mitigate their risk and to help them in their allocations of supply with these virtual agents.
Wow, Jolly, Dolly,
Molly,
Molly,
and Polly.
and Polly. Okay, I'm gonna try and remember that. Now, thanks a lot for your sharing. That's been excellent. I look at manufacturing and, of course, supply chains and sourcing and retail. There's a lot of traditional businesses and there's a lot of traditional business processes. I just wanted to kind of get your view in terms of how long do you think it will take us to transform? You know, how long is that journey in terms of, you know, the traditional players? Because of course we hear a lot about smart manufacturing and you know, the smart supply chain and smart retail,
Yes.
but is it happening now?
It is definitely happening now, and I think we need to shift that mindset of, like, for example, if people a few years back have implemented huge systems and that for which has been challenging, today is very different. So really in a couple of weeks it's possible to shift processes around and to onboard like a global player in the different locations. So definitely it's time to act now, and to be have this visibility, be in control of the process even more so in the current time being, for sure.
Now, Isabelle, in conclusion, what are perhaps some of your key takeaways for everybody out there listening to this video? What's the key takeaways that people should be thinking about?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, it's time to act now. So it's simple to do it, 2 steps. So basically, capturing the information and start digitizing. And then the second one is to get these insights in order to be able to make better and faster decisions. So.
Okay, great. And before we go, I love buzzwords. So what's your buzzword to everybody right now? What's the one buzzword that people should remember?
Digitize.
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 Okay, well, that's great. Of course, my buzzword, I talk very often about innovate or die, which is quite profound. But I think digitize and innovate, I think they go hand in hand, don't they?
To transform.
To transform.
Digitize to transform. Yes.
Very good. Isabelle Pilon, it's been a pleasure having you here in the KPMG studio talking about the Pivot 88 journey.
Thank you very much, Ensign. Pleasure being here.
Great. Thanks very much. See you next time, everybody.